If I were to ask most of you to describe your perfect car to me, it'd probably be worth getting on for £1 million, have getting on for 1,000 horsepower, be getting on for as wide as a Hummer, and be getting on for low enough to mow the lawn. Me, I'm a little more easily pleased. My sweet spot, especially if we're talking about driving on the road, is somewhere in the region of 400 horsepower, under 1,500 kilos, and small enough that you don't wince at the sight of oncoming traffic. A few cars fit the bill, and the one that does it most convincingly for me is the Porsche Cayman Gt4. Now, this job has landed me behind the wheel of countless Porsches, but somehow I've never driven the cherry on top of the Cayman lineup. One day though, we went to see our friends at Top555 to do some filming, and as we do, we got chatting cars, particularly this rather unsuspectingly specified 718 Gt4. Salesman Dan knows I'm a Porsche man, so he assumed I'd have driven one, and when he found out otherwise, he all but insisted that we change that. Since he asked nicely, shall we see what all the fuss is about?
How have I not driven one of these before? You all know what this car is. I'll just skim over the stats a little bit because if any car isn't about the stats, it is this. But we've got 4 litre flat 6, not a turbocharger in sight, 420 horsepower, 430 newton meters, 1,420 kilos. While we're behind a tractor, I might as well talk about the spec a bit because it's nice in here. The original owner must have just been ticking for about half an hour. So you've got the ceramic brakes, the Club Sport pack, so we've got these awesome 918 carbon bucket seats which are just perfect. The driving position is great. All the leather dash with the nice stitching. Even the steering column's leather. It's got the aluminium pedals and it's got the little aluminium look fuel filler cap which basically no one ever specs. They've just gone for everything. And what do you reckon about the outside? Like, I usually think GT4s look amazing in yellow. I always thought I'd have mine in yellow. But there's something cool about this silver with the gold wheels. It's sort of understated but sort of eye-catching because it's a bit different. Right, tractor gone, let's get to business. A GT4 is all about driving. Now everyone at the moment is talking about the newly released PDK version of this car. As you can see, this is more like the Colonel's original recipe with a 6-speed manual, and oh, it is one of the best in the business. I said it in the Spider, I know, but every time you drive a car with this gearbox, you just change for the sake of it. Now, I haven't driven a PDK, but it does that 0 to 60 sprint half a second quicker, 3.9 rather than 4.4. And yeah, the PDK is an amazing box, so I'm not going to slander that at all, but if I had one of these, it would have one of these. It just suits it. Those ceramic brakes, no surprise, they are so good. Really reassuring, they never fade away. And when you look at the size of them on the outside, for a car which weighs so little, it's no surprise how good they are. I'll just interrupt myself before I carry on, because a little bit like the 718 Spider video we did recently, I can tell already this is just going to be me saying how good a GT4 is. The 718 Spider is basically a GT4 without a roof, so... Now the engine. This is an interesting one because I've heard these from the outside, and with the OPF filters now, they're not particularly loud. Even with the switchable exhaust on, from the outside, yeah, there's not a great deal there, and it's quite hard, even with the exhaust on, to get those valves open around town. And actually in here with the windows up, it sounds so good. It's all engine noise. Listen to that intake. It's great to just hear an engine. No overly amplified exhaust, no fake noise being piped in. It's just mechanical. Now, they haven't paid me to say this. I've just heard them and they sound ridiculous. Mine would get a JCR exhaust on it on day one. I think that would really, really top off this experience. Steering, yeah, of course it's electronically assisted now, but it is top notch, it really is. Still feel like you've got a good understanding of what's going on underneath you. The way it turns in. It's not artificially quick like some of the supercars can be now. It just goes exactly where you want it to. And the way it flows through these sweeping bends, forget power, this is about carrying speed, and God, it carries a baffling amount of speed sometimes. It's the grip's mega. And even the suspension, it's in the softer setting now. You can firm it up, which I probably only would do on a track. I'm not going to say it's like an S-Class, but it's fairly supple. It soaks up the bumps in the road, so it doesn't get thrown about. Now, as you can hear, those gear ratios are pretty damn long. And yeah, it would be nice if they were a little shorter, so you're using the gearbox even more of the time. How nice is it to rev out that engine? It just keeps going. It rewards you for really getting up towards the 8,000 rev red line. It isn't related to the 4 litre in the GT3 that revs to 9,000. That's a whole other ball game. What a great engine this is. Now what you're seeing me do here is what a GT4 is all about, at least when you've got it on the road. Of course it's mega on the track. On the road, this is like the other end of the scale to having to have 700 horsepower. Now I love 700 horsepower, I love feeling like a car could send me into that field at any moment. I mean, who doesn't? But could you come out of this bend and just get on it on the road and not be going an absolutely stupid speed? That's the thing with this, you can just grab it by the scruff, just go for it, and so rewarding. And you'll see as well, with the manual box, I'm busy, I'm working to get the most out of it because all the power is way up there. It does pull out of the corners from about 4,000, but you want to be up 6, 7, 8,000 revs. You can have auto blip on if you really want, as I briefly did in the 718 Spider video. But rev matching this engine yourself, it's just so responsive. It's so rewarding. Right, can I think of anything bad to say? No, the screen's quite small in the middle by today's standards, but you've got Apple CarPlay. It's kind of hard to get in and out of with these seats. Yep, still want one. Got to give it back in a bit. I don't really want to.
So yeah, the fuss is very much justified. First off, and most obviously because that's what it was made for, the GT4 would make an amazing track car, and it's just sublime, unflappable even when you're going flat out. But what's interesting is how many things the GT4 does well. It is no one-trick pony. It gives you so much as a driver, however hard you push it. At lower speeds, it's just how it feels to be in it, how spot on the driving position is, and how perfectly weighted the controls feel. The earlier 981 models supposedly have a heavier clutch, which I think I'd like, but the 718's been tweaked to appeal to more people. Now, if I had 95 grand sitting about, this thing would most likely be off the market and outside my place right now. But I don't. So it's still waiting for a new owner alongside some other bits in the Top555 showroom. And that brings me on to value. There was a Ferrari 599 sat across the showroom for just £2,000 more. And for me, it's hard to make a case against the V12 Ferrari if we're talking bang for buck. But for pure driving thrills, the GT4 is the sweet spot of all sweet spots. So a big thank you to Top555 for letting me have a go and making the want for one of these even stronger. Oh, and if you decide to go and buy it, please promise me you'll drive it.